In the quiet shadows of a weathered barn, a woman's tears fell unseen, carried by the cold winds of the unforgiving Old West. Alone and burdened by loss, her heart ached in silence, a silent storm that threatened to consume her spirit. But when a boy appeared at her doorstep, barefoot and worn by hardship, everything changed in ways she could never have imagined. This was not just a story of sorrow. It was the beginning of a transformation that would ripple through an entire community, drawing 100 women from near and far to offer their gratitude and their strength. In a land where survival often meant turning away from pain, she chose to embrace it, opening her heart and the space beneath her husband's barn to a boy who had nothing but the clothes on his back and a spark of hope. What compelled her to defy the harshness of the frontier and take in a child so vulnerable? And how did one simple act of kindness ignite a movement so powerful that it moved 100 women to come together in thanks? The answers lie in the quiet moments of courage and compassion that are often overlooked in the dusty trails of the West. Her tears, once a sign of despair, became the seeds of hope for those who had long forgotten what it meant to be cared for. In the midst of hardship, her story reveals how vulnerability can become strength, and how a single act of love can awaken the hearts of many. This woman's journey challenges everything we think we know about resilience, community, and the extraordinary power of human connection against the backdrop of a wild, unforgiving land. As you listen, prepare to be drawn into a tale that goes far beyond the loneliness of one barn, revealing a tapestry of shared struggles and unexpected alliances. It is a reminder that even in the harshest places, where survival is a daily battle, compassion can bloom and change lives forever. This story is a testament to the quiet heroes whose actions ripple through time, inspiring others to stand up, come together, and make a difference. Stay with us as we uncover the profound impact of one woman's choice to care for a boy with no shoes, and how that choice sparked a movement that touched the lives of 100 women and countless others beyond. This is a story of tears, courage, and the enduring strength found in the bonds of community, set against the rugged beauty and relentless challenges of the Old West. The barn was more than just a shelter. It was a silent witness to the woman's grief and loneliness. Her husband's absence left a hollow space, not just in her home, but in her heart. Each creaking beam echoed memories she wished she could forget, and the cold nights deepened the ache that no words could heal. Yet, amid this silence, something unexpected stirred. A boy, barefoot and weary, appeared at her doorstep, his eyes reflecting a hardship she recognized all too well. His arrival was like a spark in the dark, igniting a fragile hope neither of them knew they desperately needed. She hesitated at first, the weight of her own pain making it hard to reach out. The boy's ragged clothes and worn feet told stories of a harsh world that mirrored her own suffering. But compassion, even in the loneliest heart, can find a way to bloom. Slowly, she opened the barn doors wider, offering warmth and shelter where there had only been cold. This simple act of kindness was a rebellion against the harshness of the frontier, a refusal to let despair define her or the boy's fate. Word of the boy's arrival spread quietly through the small settlement. Whispers reached the ears of other women, many of whom were carrying their own burdens of loss, loneliness, and struggle. They saw in this act of compassion a reflection of their own hopes and sorrows. The barn, once a place of solitude, began to pulse with a new energy, a symbol of refuge, healing, and the possibility of renewal. It was as if the pain shared among these women was knitting them together, thread by thread. As the boy slowly gained strength under her care, the woman found herself transformed as well. Her tears, once shed in private, now fell freely in the company of newfound friends. Together, they discovered that healing was not a solitary journey, but a shared path. The barn became a sanctuary not just for the boy, but for the women who gathered there, women who found in each other a source of strength they thought had been lost forever. But the frontier was unforgiving, and the woman knew that her act of kindness might invite criticism, suspicion, or even danger. In a world where survival often meant turning inward, she chose instead to reach out. Her courage to care in the face of hardship was the first step in a story that would grow far beyond the walls of the barn, a story that would unite 100 women in gratitude and change the course of many lives. The boy's presence in the barn became a quiet beacon for women from surrounding homesteads and settlements. Drawn by the story of the woman who had opened her doors to a child with no shoes, they came seeking comfort, community, and hope. Each woman carried her own scars, lost husbands, broken families, and endless battles against the unforgiving wilderness. Yet, in the warmth of that barn, they found a place where their stories were heard, their pain acknowledged, and their spirits lifted. With every visit, the barn filled with laughter, tears, and whispered prayers. The women shared stories of survival, weaving a tapestry of resilience and compassion that strengthened their bonds. They brought food, blankets, and medicines, turning the barn into a hub of support where no one faced the hardships of the frontier alone. The boy, once a symbol of vulnerability, became a symbol of the power of kindness to transform lives. The woman's leadership emerged naturally, born from empathy and experience. She understood the strength that comes from community and the healing that begins when people come together. Her home became more than a shelter. It became a gathering place for planning, sharing, and dreaming of better days. Together, these women began to challenge the isolation that had long defined their lives, creating a network of care that extended far beyond the barn. As the group grew, so did their influence. Their collective courage began to ripple through the settlement, inspiring others to act with kindness and solidarity. The barn was no longer just a refuge. It was a catalyst for change, a symbol of hope in a land often marked by hardship and loss. The women's gratitude was not only for the shelter they found, but for the renewed sense of purpose and belonging they had discovered. Yet, beneath the surface of this growing community, the woman faced her own doubts and fears. Could such fragile hope withstand the harsh realities of the Old West? Would their bonds be strong enough to face the challenges ahead? These questions lingered in the cold night air as the women gathered under the stars, ready to face whatever the frontier would bring, together. The barn had become a beacon, its weathered walls sheltering more than just the boy. It protected a growing sisterhood forged through shared hardship and hope. These women, once isolated by grief and fear, found strength in each other's stories, their voices rising together in whispered prayers and quiet songs beneath the endless sky. In a land where survival often demanded silence, they discovered the power of speaking out, of listening, and of standing side by side. Each new arrival added a thread to the tapestry of resilience woven within those walls. Despite their growing unity, the challenges of frontier life remained relentless. Harsh winters, scarce supplies, and the ever-present danger of lawlessness tested their resolve. But these women refused to be broken. Their collective courage grew, and with it, their determination to protect the fragile sanctuary they had created. Together, they tended to the boy's wounds and shared what little they had, proving that even in scarcity, generosity could flourish. Their compassion was a quiet rebellion against the brutality that so often defined the West. Word of their gathering spread beyond the nearby homesteads, drawing curious and hopeful hearts from distant places. Some came with skepticism, unsure if such fragile bonds could survive the unforgiving land. Others arrived with open arms, ready to offer their own strength and stories. The barn became a crossroads, a place where the past pain was met with the promise of a new future. The women's gratitude blossomed into a powerful force, one that inspired and sustained them through the darkest nights. Amidst this blossoming community, the woman's own transformation was undeniable. The tears that once fell in solitude became tears of joy, hope, and fierce determination. She was no longer alone in her grief. She was surrounded by warriors of the heart, women who chose to face adversity not with despair, but with solidarity. Her leadership was quiet but unwavering, guiding them through every trial with a wisdom born of pain and resilience. Yet, even as their bond strengthened, the shadows of doubt and danger loomed. The Old West was unforgiving, and such gatherings of women, united and strong, could easily become targets of suspicion or hostility. The woman knew their journey was just beginning, and the challenges ahead would demand more courage than ever before. But she also knew that together, they had already rewritten what it meant to survive. The arrival of the 100 women was not sudden, but it felt like a tidal wave that swept through the settlement, changing everything in its wake. Each woman who came to the barn carried a story, a loss, a dream, a longing for belonging. They came from distant farms, dusty trails, and forgotten cabins, drawn by the promise of refuge and the strength found in numbers. The barn that once echoed with solitary tears now resonated with the voices of 100 hearts beating in unison. Together, they transformed the barn and its surroundings into a vibrant hub of life and hope. Walls were reinforced, fires kept burning through the coldest nights, and food was shared in abundance. The women organized themselves into circles of support, sharing skills, resources, and stories that had long been silenced. Their presence was a testament to the power of community, a living proof that even in the harshest corners of the Old West, compassion could create miracles. This newfound sisterhood began to ripple beyond the barn's walls, reaching the ears and hearts of men and children alike. The settlement, once fractured by isolation and hardship, began to heal. Neighbors offered help where before there had been suspicion. Friendships formed across fences and boundaries that had seemed unbreakable. The 100 women's gratitude was not just for the shelter they found, but for the family they had rebuilt. The woman who had welcomed the boy with no shoes became the heart of this movement, a symbol of courage and kindness that inspired all who knew her story. Her tears, once a sign of unbearable loneliness, were now the wellspring of hope for a community reborn. Through her actions, she taught a simple yet profound truth, that the smallest acts of compassion can ignite the greatest transformations. Yet, as the women celebrated their strength, the frontier remained an unpredictable and often dangerous place. The barn was their sanctuary, but the world outside was still wild and uncertain. They understood that their unity would be tested by forces beyond their control. But armed with courage and the bond of sisterhood, they were ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, together. The sense of community within the barn grew stronger with each passing day, but the realities of frontier life still cast long shadows over their fragile peace. Supplies ran low, harsh weather battered their makeshift sanctuary, and rumors began to spread through the settlement. Some men questioned the growing influence of this group of women, whispering doubts about their intentions and strength. Yet, the women stood firm, their unity unshaken by skepticism or fear. They knew their power lay not just in numbers, but in the unbreakable bond forged through shared pain and hope. The woman who had taken in the boy became a guiding light, her quiet strength inspiring those around her. She organized efforts to gather food and firewood, taught others to mend clothes and tend wounds, and created a space where every voice mattered. Her leadership was gentle yet resolute, born from experience and empathy rather than authority. Through her example, the women learned that survival on the frontier required more than toughness. It demanded compassion, collaboration, and unwavering courage. As the seasons changed, the boy blossomed under the care of the community. His once bare feet now wore patched shoes, and his eyes held a newfound brightness. He was a living testament to the power of kindness to heal and transform. But more than that, he became a symbol for the women, proof that their sacrifices and love were not in vain. Every small victory in his growth echoed in their hearts, fueling their determination to continue fighting for a better life. Despite their growing strength, the group faced constant challenges from the outside world. Threats from bandits, the ever-present threat of disease, and the harsh wilderness reminded them that their battle was far from over. But each obstacle only deepened their resolve, knitting the women tighter together in a shared mission. They were no longer isolated individuals, but a force, a sisterhood bound by resilience and hope. The barn, once a lonely refuge, had transformed into a fortress of love and survival. Within its walls, the women created not just shelter but a family. Their gratitude to the woman who opened her doors ran deep, and their collective strength promised a future shaped by care and unity, a future born from the tears shed in that quiet barn long ago. The growing reputation of the women's community began to ripple throughout the surrounding lands, reaching the ears of travelers, settlers, and even neighboring tribes. Many came to witness this extraordinary gathering of women, curious about the source of their strength and the hope they radiated. Stories spread of a barn filled with laughter, healing, and unwavering solidarity, a stark contrast to the harshness often associated with the Old West. Some doubted the endurance of such a fragile alliance, predicting it would crumble under the weight of the frontier's unforgiving demands. But time proved otherwise. The women's determination, combined with their deep empathy and resourcefulness, allowed them to build a thriving community that defied expectations. They shared not only their burdens but their dreams, weaving a future where kindness was as essential as survival skills. The woman's leadership grew in stature as she continued to nurture this evolving sisterhood. She advocated for education, health, and mutual aid, ensuring that every woman, child, and elder had a role and a voice. Her vision extended beyond mere survival. She dreamed of a world where the frontier could be tamed not just by strength, but by the power of community and compassion. Yet, the journey was never without hardship. Encounters with hostile forces, natural disasters, and moments of despair tested the limits of their unity. But each trial was met with courage and an unbreakable spirit. The 100 women, once strangers brought together by a single act of kindness, became a beacon of hope for all who believed in the possibility of a better life on the frontier. Their story, born in tears and hardship, had blossomed into a legacy of resilience and love. The barn stood not only as a shelter, but as a monument to the power of human connection, a testament to what can happen when compassion leads the way in even the harshest of lands. As the community thrived, the women began to take on new roles beyond survival. They became teachers, healers, and leaders in their own right. Their collective wisdom and resilience transformed the settlement, inspiring others to break free from isolation and join this growing network of hope. The barn, once a place of quiet sorrow, now echoed with the sounds of learning and laughter, a testament to the power of unity in the face of adversity. Their courage proved that even in the unforgiving Old West, strength came from compassion as much as from grit. Despite their success, the women knew the frontier was still fraught with danger. The harsh environment and unpredictable threats meant vigilance was always necessary. But now, they faced these dangers as one, an unbreakable sisterhood ready to defend their sanctuary and each other. Their courage gave them the strength to face the darkest storms, both natural and human, with unyielding determination. This bond, forged in hardship and kindness, was their greatest weapon against the wilderness and the unknown. The boy, once helpless and barefoot, had become a symbol of their collective triumph. His growth mirrored the transformation of the women's community, from vulnerability to strength, from isolation to belonging. His laughter and energy brought light to even the coldest days, a reminder that their sacrifices had planted seeds of hope that now blossomed with promise. Through him, they saw the future they were fighting to build, a future where no one was left to suffer alone. Word of the women's resilience spread far and wide, reaching even the distant towns and trading posts. Their story challenged the harsh stereotypes of frontier life, proving that compassion and cooperation could flourish alongside courage and independence. Travelers spoke of the barn as a place where miracles happened, where broken spirits were mended, and where the impossible became reality. This legend of sisterhood and hope grew, inspiring others to seek connection over isolation. Yet, the woman who had sparked this movement never lost sight of the fragility of their progress. She understood that their journey was ongoing, a continuous battle against the harsh realities of the Old West. But with each day, she found strength in the women around her and in the boy who had started it all. Together, they embodied the enduring truth that even in the toughest times, love and unity could light the darkest paths. The growing power of their community attracted both admiration and envy. While many celebrated the women's achievements, others feared the change it represented. Some questioned how a group of women, bound by compassion rather than arms, could survive in a land ruled by violence and lawlessness. But the women answered these doubts with action, organizing defenses, sharing knowledge, and standing firm against those who sought to undermine them. Their resilience became a quiet but formidable force, challenging the old ways and carving a new path forward. In the face of external threats, the sisterhood's bond deepened. They learned to read the signs of approaching danger, to trust their instincts, and to protect not only their sanctuary, but each other's lives. The barn became a fortress of solidarity, a symbol that strength need not come from weapons alone, but from the unwavering commitment to protect what mattered most. Their courage was a beacon for others who longed for safety and belonging in the wild frontier. The woman's leadership flourished amid these challenges. She became a mentor, guiding new arrivals and nurturing the next generation of leaders within the community. Her wisdom, shaped by pain and perseverance, helped the women navigate the complexities of frontier life with grace and grit. Together, they crafted a legacy that transcended survival, a legacy of empowerment, hope, and transformation. The boy's story, now intertwined with the story of the 100 women, inspired countless others to believe in the power of kindness. His journey from barefoot stranger to thriving child embodied the miracle that compassion could create even in the most unlikely places. He was a living testament to the fact that one person's kindness could ignite a movement, change hearts, and build a future. As the sun set over the vast plains, casting golden light across the barn and its inhabitants, the woman looked out over the community she had helped create. The tears she once shed in loneliness had given way to tears of joy and pride. In this rugged land, where so many had lost hope, she and the 100 women had found strength, purpose, and family. Their story was far from over. It was just beginning. The legacy of the woman and her community spread like wildfire, reaching far beyond the boundaries of their settlement. Stories of the barn filled with hope and healing inspired others to question the harsh isolation that had long defined the frontier. Slowly, neighboring towns and settlements began to open their doors, inspired by the example set by these courageous women. Their movement sparked a quiet revolution, proving that kindness and unity were as vital to survival as courage and grit. Yet, the journey was not without sacrifice. The women faced storms, both literal and figurative, that tested their resolve. They lost friends to illness, weathered bitter winters, and confronted hostility from those unwilling to accept change. But through every hardship, their bond only grew stronger. Each trial was met with a fierce determination to protect the sanctuary they had built and the family they had found. Their story became a testament to resilience, proving that love could thrive even in the most unforgiving landscapes. The boy, now a young man, stood as a living symbol of their triumphs and struggles. His footsteps no longer bare but steady and sure. He carried forward the spirit of the barn, of hope born from compassion and the power of community. His future was bright, shaped by the sacrifices and love of those who had taken him in when he had nothing. Through him, their legacy would live on, inspiring generations to come. The woman's tears, once a mark of sorrow, had transformed into a wellspring of strength. Her journey from solitude to leadership was a powerful reminder that even the deepest pain could give birth to something beautiful. She had sparked a movement that redefined what it meant to survive and thrive on the frontier. Through kindness, courage, and unwavering faith in one another, these women had changed not only their lives but the very fabric of their world. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple, the barn stood tall, no longer a symbol of loneliness, but a beacon of hope. This story, rooted in the tears of one woman and the bare feet of one boy, had blossomed into a legacy of love, resilience, and transformation that would echo across the ages. With each passing year, the women's community flourished, becoming a cornerstone of strength and compassion in the Old West. Their legacy was woven into the stories told around campfires, in schools, and across the dusty trails. They had shown that survival was not just about enduring the land, but about nurturing the human spirit through connection and care. Their barn, once a refuge for a grieving woman and a barefoot boy, had become a sanctuary for all who sought hope. The bonds forged in those early days proved unbreakable, standing strong against the relentless challenges of frontier life. The women's courage inspired others to embrace empathy over isolation, transforming the culture of the West one act of kindness at a time. Their story was a testament to the extraordinary power of ordinary people to change the course of history through love and solidarity. The boy's journey from vulnerability to strength symbolized the potential within every soul to rise above hardship. His life was a tribute to the women who had welcomed him and, through their collective care, had helped him find his footing in a world that often seemed harsh and unforgiving. Together, they created a future where no one had to face the storm alone. As the community grew, so did the vision of the woman who had ignited it all. Her tears had sown seeds of hope that blossomed into a forest of resilience and unity. Her story, etched into the heart of the West, reminds us all that even in the darkest moments, the light of compassion can guide the way to a better tomorrow. And so, beneath the endless sky of the Old West, the legacy of one woman, one boy, and 100 grateful hearts continues to inspire. Proof that sometimes, the smallest acts of kindness can leave the deepest footprints on the sands of time. In the vast and rugged landscape of the Old West, where hardship was a daily companion and survival often demanded solitude, the story of one woman's compassion reminds us that true strength lies in unity and kindness. Her decision to open the barn door to a barefoot boy not only changed their lives but sparked a movement that united 100 women and countless others beyond, in a bond forged through shared pain and hope. This tale teaches us that even in the harshest of places, empathy can bloom and transform destinies. As we reflect on this journey, consider the power of a single act of kindness. How often do we underestimate the impact of reaching out, of offering shelter to someone in need, or of standing together in the face of adversity? This story challenges us to see beyond our own struggles and recognize the profound difference we can make when we choose compassion over isolation. It is a reminder that healing often begins with a single brave step toward another human being. The barn, once a silent witness to grief, became a sanctuary of hope, strength, and community. It stands as a symbol that even the smallest acts of love can ripple outward, inspiring change and fostering resilience. The women's courage to come together, to share their burdens and their dreams, is a testament to the unbreakable spirit of humanity, a spirit that refuses to be defeated by circumstance. If this story touched your heart and reminded you of the power we all hold to make a difference, I invite you to join this journey. Subscribe to the channel for more inspiring stories from the past that still hold lessons for our lives today. Like this video if you believe in the strength of compassion, and share your thoughts below. Tell us about a moment when kindness changed your world or someone you know. Together, we keep these stories alive, reminding each other that even in the toughest times, hope can find a way. Thank you for watching. And remember, sometimes the smallest footsteps leave the deepest marks on the sands of time.